That's why I never sit next to this guy. I always try to have because you look at him, I don't want him to get right away. All right, welcome. I don't watch the news, so I had no idea it was supposed to rain. I didn't find out till Mary was praying for God to take the rain away. She did a good job. It worked. That's why you don't watch the news. Just show up. My name is Paul Roberts, and I get the privilege of introducing some incredible people today. Before that, a little bit about myself. By the way, today I'm 5,034 days sober. Thank you. I share that because there's always someone that is wanting to release that beast from their life, and it's not easy. And the fact that y'all clapped for me by saying I'm an alcoholic, you've given someone permission in here to talk to me if they want to talk to me. Because the very thing they're afraid to say, y'all just clapped for it. Y'all just cheered for it. And I believe your success doesn't belong to you. I believe once you become successful at something, it really wasn't meant for you. You were a pawn to help someone else. Okay? I built and sold a business, and it was the biggest blessing in the world. Has anybody built a business in here? And you stay in survival mode forever, and you're in surviving, you just surviving, you're surviving, you're surviving. And all of a sudden someone says, hey, I want to buy your business. I'm like, oh, cool. I got out of survival mode. I didn't know I was here in success mode. Awesome. And we sold that company, and I kind of went on what am I going to do? I'm too young to retire, and I have too much energy to retire. I love running marathons. And my first thought was, Percy, I'm just going to run a marathon in every state. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Then I was afraid I would die if I tried this. So luckily, I met a young man by the name of Colin who introduced me to Daniel, and I didn't die trying to run a marathon in every state. I just started doing a different business, thank God. And then he introduced me to Richard and Mary. And when you're in business and it doesn't feel like you're in business, everything changes. Can I get an amen on that? Well, like when you're in business and it don't feel like business, like it changes. Am I right? Because then you're excited to show up. You don't want to leave. You want to be part of it. Like, I want to stay. Trina and I had an office in Louisville, and no one wanted to leave our office. Ping pong was probably the reason they didn't want to leave, but everyone wanted to stay and hang out. We wanted to be with each other, right? And that's crucial when you're building a movement, that people just want to stay and be part of it. And then, oh yeah, what are we doing? I forgot. Y'all with me? Like, or what are we doing? Oh yeah, that's right, we're doing this. Beautiful. But we were more fired up to just be together. And I remember talking to Richard the first night I met him. Daniel introduced me to Richard. That's why I told you the whole story of the young man introduced me to Daniel, and the Daniel introduced me to Richard and Mary. I met Richard, and he starts talking about some of his, what he's done in life. And as he's talking, I'm like we know each other. Like there's somehow, some way we know one another. And so we start talking about our mentors in life and our coaches in life. And sure enough, I almost said a bad word. Sure enough, y'all caught that. Okay, good. Yeah, I was close. I was real close. I forgot where I was. Sure enough, we started looking up our mentors and coaches, and we've been coached by the same people somehow, some way. It's really beautiful. And I was like, man, I like you. And then I got to talk to Mary a little bit more. And Mary's, would everybody agree, Mary's got tons of enthusiasm and excitement and energy? Yeah, give her a round of applause for that. Yeah. And so right then I was in love with Mary. I said, let's do this. Let's go build something. Oh yeah, what are we going to build? Because that's what it's all about. Like I wanted to just hang out with Richard and Mary and do something. And then they told me what they do. And then I got really fired up. It's like, I like this. We can actually do something with this. And in Romans 12, it talks about we're all part of the body. Is that Romans 12? Do I got any theologians in here? You always got to, come on, seriously, someone's about to correct me. Anyhow, so I'll just make it up. In Romans 12, I believe it talks about where we're all one body, okay? And we can't, did I say someone? Yep, okay, thank you. And my man, how you doing? And so, and we all have a gift. We all have a gift. One thing that drives me crazy is when companies start talking stupid stuff like, hey, we're just plug and play, jump in the factory and just do your thing. Well, then you don't bring your gift to that. You just plug and play. That ain't cool. Like I want to bring my gift. Anybody here want to let's be real. You want to bring your gift to the table and say, can I add value to this situation? Can I get a hands up with that? Yeah. Can I add value? Can I belong? Right? Belonging is one of the biggest human needs we got. Can I belong to this thing? Can my gifts be used? And what I love about Richard and Mary is they really do a great job of identifying people's gifts. They really do. And they all know that we all have gifts to bring to the table. It's not just, hey, it's my way or the highway. What I've noticed about them is they're always, Brandon, they're always like, what can you contribute? What's your background? What have you done? What have you gone through? What have you accomplished? What have you failed at? Because they want to identify your gifts so you can help build this amazing community. Like I was brand new to them, and we just started talking and got excited about things, and they go, hey, will you introduce us on one of their calls? I go, oh my God, I forgot what we do here. But it's okay. I like you guys, so I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you, right? But they recognize the gift. I'm like kind of like I'm starting the meeting off. I'm like their rodeo clown. I got everything. Okay, good. And I barely graduated high school, so it fits perfectly. I'm just a rodeo clown. I'm just up here to get everybody excited about something. If a cow could run me down or something, that'd be kind of cool. Run around with a barrel or something. Anyhow, got sidetracked. But I want to be part of something where everybody's gift's important and you get to be a part of it, as opposed to just join and plug and play. Shut up, sit there, don't say anything. No, come in here, show us your gift, and be a part of it. Does anybody want to be part of something like that? Like you truly like I want to help something grow. I want to help develop something. Does everybody want to do that, right? Or do you just want to show up to IBM with your perfect suit on and your shirt? And I don't know what I'm doing here by doing all this, but what do they wear? Like I can see them all wearing like blue suits and a white shirt. Am I correct? Is that IBM? I don't know. And here's the manual of how to act, how to behave, where to go to the bathroom, how long to go to the bathroom, and where you should go on vacation. No one wants that, right? I'm guessing on a Tuesday night, and apparently there was a storm coming in that I did not know about. Y'all are pretty bold and brave. Like y'all want something out of life. Can I get something out of that? Yes, say amen or something. Give me something. I'm doing better up here than y'all are coming back this way. Come on, now give me something. Because y'all are the difference makers, right? Well, you're at the right place with Richard and Mary. You really are. Because they want to lift you. They want to build you. They want to know your gifts. They know they can't take this, Leslie, without you. They have to have people take it to the next level, right? Tonight, I think I heard it was called Taco Tuesday. I think that's what Mary said. We're going to take a deep dive. We're going to end at 9, but we're going to take a deep dive for those that want to stay. It's only going to go to about 4 or 5 a.m. I'm a long distance runner. If I'm in bed by 9 p.m., I'm fired up, right? They're keeping me up past my bedtime tonight. So I'm staying up till 4 a.m. with them, right? I'm kidding. It's not till 4 a.m. But we're going to, at 9 p.m., we're going to chat for a little bit. We're going to have tacos. Is that correct? That was it. I knew that was up there somewhere. So we're going to have tacos at 9, and we're going to take a deeper dive into what they're doing. But they really just want to share from their hearts right now and share who they are and what they've built. I want to be a part of it. Like, I just want to go along with them. I want to be part of the ride because it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be beautiful. Okay? If y'all could just do me a favor, just so you stand up. You're going to need a little exercise real quick. Stand up for me. If y'all could just get crazy for me just for a couple of seconds and help me welcome Mary and Richard to the stage. Give it up for them. Come on.
Messages at like 4:30. People say, it's going to rain tonight. I'm like, so what? Tell me you're a sissy without telling me you're a sissy. It's like, get in the car and get over here, man. I don't see any of y'all in the room that I said that to, so y'all are the brave ones. So thank you for being here tonight. This is an exciting time.
Paul said a lot of really great things, and actually, before I do that, I want to clarify. So tonight is going to go from 7 to 9. But one of the things that Richard and I were really talking about what we wanted to cover tonight, we knew we didn't have time from 7 to 9 to cover everything. And so at 9 o'clock, we're going to do a deep dive for those of you who want to stay for that. Some of you already know. I want to hear everything that there is to know, so I'm going to stay for that. And we also know that there's some of you that have babysitters, and you plan things, and you've got to, handle things. And so we wanted to give you a chance to handle that. So how the 9 o'clock will go is we'll go over to a different room. We're going to spend about 15 minutes. Everyone's going to grab some tacos, and then we're going to spend about 20 minutes going deeper into some other stuff, and we'll kind of tell you a little bit about that. But what Paul said, and I'm going to have Richard share a little bit about why we came up with this name, Investor Next Door Club. And if you see the tagline, everyone is invited. How many of you have ever been in a place where you felt like, I don't really belong here. Like, this is not my crowd. This is not like you go walk in a place and you're like, come on now, I know I'm not on TV. So if y'all don't participate, I'm going to have Sandy give me those candy bars and I'm going to start throwing them in the room, okay? So how many of you have ever felt that? Like, I know I have. I was at a financial seminar on Thursday, and I'm in the financial world, and I didn't feel comfortable. There was a part of that I was like, I don't know if this is my people. And what we really wanted to create was we wanted to create a club, a community, where everyone felt like I belong here. I'm invited. You're welcome to sit at our table. We didn't want to exclude anyone. And one of the things that we saw over our last 20 years in business was there's so many places and so many areas where people were getting left out. People didn't have access. People weren't invited to the table. And so we wanted to create this place where people were invited.
So there's a near and dear friend of mine who helped me come up with this name, and right now he's actually fighting for his life. But I remember when we were sitting down a little over a year ago, and I told him the name that I had, and he said, "That's terrible."
That's terrible. No, don't hold back here.
He says, "But what you're trying to do is to reach your neighbor." And then that's where the name Investor Next Door came from, because it was really about the neighbor. Some of you look like some of you might be old enough. Maybe you heard the book Millionaire Next Door. And that's where that came from, is that the person next door can have access to what Wall Street says we can, or what the Securities Exchange Commission says we can't. So we wanted to be able to create a roadmap for people to have access to what the big guys have access to. So it's helping Main Street. So that's where Investor Next Door came from. Now you'll hear a lot of times where someone will abbreviate and they'll say Inc., right? I-N-C-K. I-N-C, sorry. I-N-C. And it simply also...
High school dropouts.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, listen, I have a PhD-E. Do y'all know what that is? PhD-E, Public High School Diploma Equivalency. So just, anyway. But anyway, it was really about giving people access, but INC simply means it's not complicated. And I think there's a lot of companies out there, and there's a lot of agencies out there that would like people to believe it's a lot more complicated and you shouldn't be involved and you should trust the big firms. My experience is trusting the big firms is not the best route to go, because they have their best interests at heart, not your best interests at heart. So that's where Investor Next Door Club came from. But Mary and I, we just recently celebrated 24 years of being married. And, you know, we do this as a family. Our family's in this room. Our daughter, and only one of our daughters is not here. Our granddaughter's out there with our oldest daughter. Our son-in-law's here. So
and our son's doing homework out in the foyer.
Yeah, so this is a family business, a family affair. But I'd like to kind of start off with just a couple of questions, just to kind of see where people's heads are at. It's like, how many of you here tonight you're here tonight because you believe there has to be more available than just working, saving, or hoping for your retirement account? Right? Amen. And then how many of you have ever felt like investing opportunities were happening, but only for people with more money or more connections or simply more knowledge than you? Right? I've been there. And then the other is, how many of you would invest more if you simply felt confident that you understood the questions to ask and knew what to actually look for?
You know, someone told me the other day that was really profound. She said, sometimes you don't know what questions to ask when they're actually relevant. How many of you have ever felt that? Like, you heard a question like, I wish I knew that question to ask 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or during that bad investment or during that bad business. How many of you have ever been there, right? So one of the things that we want to do is we want to equip people with the knowledge they need to make really smart financial moves, no matter where you are, no matter what your financial situation is. And I know for some of you, when you talk about money or finance, how many of y'all want to check out? Like, you're all of a sudden getting sleepy. Some of y'all don't want to admit it, but it's true. And I get that. What we want to do is we want to simplify things that are normally really complicated. And one of the things we found is when you do that in a community of people, it becomes easier. And sometimes it actually becomes fun. Like, can we have fun here? Is that okay? Some of y'all need to tell your faces that we're going to have fun. Mark, he just did that. He's like, okay, that's me. Okay.
So anyway, we talked a little bit about our family, but this is our family, the whole family. Our middle daughter, who's not here tonight, she's in Birmingham. But everyone's been involved with the entire process of putting this company together. And we do like to have fun, whether it's the beach or hiking, or Mario Karting in Osaka.
That's in Tokyo.
Oh, that's in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got to go back there and get one in Osaka. So, but anyway, we've had a pleasure of actually being in business for ourselves for a very long time, and our family's been along for the ride. They've seen the highs, they've seen the challenges. So we have worked through a lot of different seasons in business together. Now, Mary and I, over the years, we've spent 20 years in the direct sales space. We've also spent over 20 years in real estate investing. And during that time, while I was running real estate funds, we were also building domestic and international sales and marketing teams as well. And we've had some success along the way. And it's a slide I actually don't like to bring up, but some people actually sometimes want to know. It's like, who's on stage speaking? Well, I mean, we've done some things, right? The important thing is that we've gone through some things. I've been through the 2008 financial crisis, right, and survived it. You know, we have gone through different layers that would have normally maybe set people back, wiped them out, or where they gave up on their dream completely.
You know, we spent those years in the network marketing space, and I'll tell you, a lot of people think, oh, it's because of the money. And don't get me wrong, the money was really great. You know, we got to live off of residual income, not having to work for our money for well over 15 years. How many of you would like to be job optional, right? Not have to work if you choose not to. And when you do that, when you're in a place to do that, then what happens is your life becomes about purpose. It becomes about, what can I do to make a difference in someone's life? And you get to do the things you really want to do with the people you want to do it. And so one of the things we loved about that season was we got to help thousands of people make a financial change in their life. And real difference was made, not just people buying fancy cars and nice handbags and designer shoes, which I like, but it was people being able to quit their jobs and stay at home with their kids, people being able to pay for college education without having to worry about taking out student loans, people being able to pay for hospice care for their elderly parents. Like, things like that make a profound difference. People say money doesn't buy happiness. No, it doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy you options. And when we looked at that season, we knew that there could be a better way. When we looked up after 20 years in direct sales, how many of you have ever done any kind of network marketing direct sales? You've been in it, you know people in it, a lot of people, right? We looked up and saw the landscape of that industry completely change. And we had friends that had built a lifetime of business in that sector only for it to completely crumble. How many of you have had friends that crumbled, right? And it's devastating. And what we saw was we had a way, we knew a better way where they could have some income producing assets that could fund their lifestyle. So that things like that, life happens, right? How many of you are in a place where you know somebody that AI is now jeopardizing their future? That's happening, right? Industries are changing, things are shifting. And we know that we have something that if we could teach the masses, it could change the control they have over their financial future. And that's what we really wanted to have.
You know, for 20 years, I've had to keep two worlds separate. It's like living two separate lives. I had my real estate investing life, capital raising, and all that stuff was over there, highly regulated. And then on this side was our direct sales business. And the reason why was simply because of laws. I simply could not include both audiences. And that was one of the things that really frustrated me, because I saw so many people, as Mary talked about, that were getting squashed or having incomes wiped out, whether it was corporate America, whether it was direct sales, it didn't matter. Whether it was self-employed, it did not matter. But we wanted to be able to find a way, could we actually blend these worlds? And over recent years, it's made it more possible and given us more clarity. So it's the reason why Investor Next Door Club is really about helping everyday people become investors, you know, giving them a safe environment to access exclusive financial opportunities that they don't normally have access to. I'll tell you a funny story, because there's all different types of income brackets that don't have access. A couple months ago, I'm riding an elevator with a multi-generational billionaire who runs a lot for his family.
Multi-generational billionaire with a B. How many zeros is that? A lot, okay?
And I'm riding the elevator, I'm sitting in the very back, and he's having this conversation with this other gentleman, and something came up about a project, and he goes, oh, you guys are involved in that, right? And the multi-generational billionaire says, no, we didn't get invited. And I could just hear the tone in his voice, like he was disappointed he didn't get invited. And a lot of times, what people don't realize is what's missing is an invitation for people. And that invitation is actually what's the beginning steps of access into a world that you may not be aware of. The world of private investing, the world of passive investing. We're not up here tonight to tell you that you need to learn how to swing a hammer so you can go flip a house. We're not up here to tell you that you need to go hunt and peck for a bunch of stuff. And meanwhile, you've got a 40, 50-hour work week and you're supposed to go do things on the weekend and disrupt your family. That's not a lifestyle that I recommend. I've done that. I don't recommend it. There are better ways. After running 2 successful real estate funds, I've learned a few things of how to do things better and to bring other people along that wasn't possible before.
You know, I've been submersed in doing some financial seminars and courses. I don't know, a lot. I've just been invited to a lot of things. And I've had a few really good nuggets that I wanted to make sure I shared. That's why I had this little piece of paper. I know it's not very, it ruins the video and the pictures. So y'all Photoshop this stuff out. All right. I want y'all to suspend belief for a minute. Okay. How many of y'all have like preconceived notions about things? If you don't have your right hand raised, you are lying through your teeth. We all do. We all have preconceived notions about stuff. But sometimes the things you believe to be true that simply aren't true can be the thing, the very thing that is preventing you from being successful. So there are some things right now that you walked into this room with, believing to be true, that really are not true, that's keeping you from being successful. So for this moment, for the next hour and a half or however long we have here, or 4 a.m., like Paul said, I just want you to suspend belief for a moment. So whatever's coming in your mind, I want you to think, is that really something that's true? Or is that really just something that I believe is true? Because what we want to do is we want to expose you to some ideas that are going to shift your perspective. And that perspective shift could be the very thing that you need to change the trajectory of your financial future.
Absolutely. So some of you are familiar with this 4 quadrants. Robert Kiyosaki kind of brought this to light decades ago. But most people are in one of 3 categories, right? Employee, business owner, self-employed. All those are great. You can make great income in all those different things. Now, there's some limitations of tax write-offs that you don't have access to as a W-2, which is why we want you to kind of straddle the fence either into, a business or self-employed. But really what everybody wants to be is the investor quadrant. And what's the thing that no one teaches anyone about? Investing, right? They just don't do it. And everyone needs to be in that. Every successful doctor I know is in the investor quadrant. Every successful dentist or attorney or even entrepreneur, they're all in that investor quadrant. And I don't mean the stock market. They're in the private investing market because the private investor markets outperform the stock market every 10 to 15 years consistently. It's always done it. Doesn't get talked about a lot because Wall Street would like you to believe your money's safe in our funds. Your money's safe in the indexes. Well, now if you look at the news going on right now, there's some things that are changing, right? There's a lot of inflation that's going on that's finally hitting the stock market. There's a reality check that's going to happen. The private markets, though, perhaps are doing the most, they're having the best gains. They have the most security. They have the most security and safety that involved with them. One problem with the private markets is there's a liquidity factor, meaning it's hard to get your money out very, very quickly. And they want to scare you with that, saying, oh, don't do that because you can't get your money out. That's also not true also. But it doesn't have the same liquidity as the stock market, but it also doesn't drop 30 to 40% over a 30, 60-day period either. And we're going to see a lot more changes happening in the very coming weeks that are going to probably shock some people. But the important part is we want you to start opening your eyes to the private investing market. And we're not asking for capital here tonight. We're only here to share some awareness that you may not be aware of, that you have access to, that you didn't think you did, because someone told you you shouldn't do that, or you just simply never knew before. There was a time that I knew nothing about private investing. Thank God someone pulled me aside about 20 some odd years ago and showed me what I could do without a license, but I could operate inside the same regulatory as the big guys do.
Before we move on, go back to that slide. How many of you, when you look at this and you see my money works for me, you think, I got to have way more money to have my money work for me? And how many of y'all think that? Come on. That's a lot of people. And that's a myth. That's a myth that I want you to dispel, that you don't have to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to have your money go to work for you. And I think that's a myth that the middle class has bought into, and so they don't even go there. They stay in the other quadrants thinking, one day, someday, I could be an investor maybe. And we're going to show you how you can step into that today. And we're not asking for an investment, so just, relax. But we just want to open up the doors of opportunity to you that hadn't been opened up before.
So the amount of saved money in retirement is staggering when you look at the statistics, right? Because right now you've got, people that are 58% of all Americans have less than $10,000 in retirement.
58%. So this part of the room, if that was this part of the room, y'all are going to have less than $10,000 saved for retirement.
It's a staggering.
That's a staggering statistic.
And what people don't realize is they could change that in a matter of 1 to 2 to 3 years and never have to worry about it again, and not have to worry about a 401k, and not worry about whatever fund that they told you had to be in. But also 93% of all Americans will not be prepared for retirement. They will have to supplement, or they will have to majorly downsize their lifestyle. I don't know where the myth got started that when you retire, you're supposed to downgrade your lifestyle. You have had decades of experience. You've had time to amass a certain amount of wealth. You also learned some things of what not to do when you were younger also. So therefore, you should be able to live at a much higher quality standard of life, even in retirement. But also, who said you have to make less money in retirement? Because they all sold you on the idea, well, a 401k, and then you roll that over, and then you live on 4% of that income every single year. Problem with that is those numbers came up decades ago, and inflation has dramatically hurt that, as well as people are actually living longer. People are actually scared right now, even if they have $1 million in retirement, they are scared of outliving their retirement. And that can radically change in a very short amount of time, but you have to be willing to consider that there are better ways versus the ways that you've been told or taught. Now, go ahead.
So I heard this on Saturday, and it is staggering. How many of you think making more money will make a difference? Some of y'all, right? Making more money? In a 2025 Goldman Sachs Asset Management report, they found that 40% of households earning over $300,000 annually are living paycheck to paycheck. So it goes to show that it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's really a mentality, and it's a mindset, and it's habits. And that's why Investor Next Door Club exists, is to help break through that. Because what a lot of these people are dealing with is what we call lifestyle creep. The more money you make, the higher your lifestyle goes. And when that happens, you're just high-class broke. You're broke just like someone making $50,000 a year, except you drive a nice car, you live in a nice house, and you have nicer clothes, but you're just as broke as they are because you are one paycheck away from being on the street, just like they are. And so we're here to educate people so that that doesn't have to be you, so that as you increase your income, you are not a victim to lifestyle creep. You know, people are amazed. We were in network marketing for 20 years. We've made millions of dollars in the industry. I drive a 10-year-old car. I still drive that 10-year-old car that's paid off. We live in the same house that we've lived in for 25 years. And we have not changed that because we didn't get sucked into that lifestyle creep. Because more important than stuff was freedom, to be completely free. And that's what we're here to teach.
Absolutely. So real estate has built more wealth than any other asset class.
Okay, time out real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
So what we're going to talk about a lot. He just runs right in there.
24 years, you learn something.
So our company is Investor Next Door Club, and we're going to talk a lot about investments, but we're going to spend a lot of time on real estate, okay? So if you decide to join us in our club, you're going to hear about all these different forms of investing, but real estate is a way you can really build wealth. So this is why we're going to talk about real estate.
Absolutely.
So I just want to make that preamble.
So 68% of all global wealth is held inside of real estate. That's a clue, because they like to keep things in things that are conservative, things that they know are going to grow over time. And that's where they know that they have some control and some influence. And yes, maybe we've got some realtors in here. We've got some other people that have been around real estate. And there's even people that have probably told you that real estate's very risky. Yes, I would agree investing in a luxury high-rise building in 2007 was very risky, okay? You know, because the market crashed on that. And high-rise stuff does, luxury stuff, but I like the Walmart approach. B and C class properties always survive because people always need shelter. Contractors always need warehousing. That is the backbone of America. That is the blue collar. That is middle class America. Even, you know, white collar also. That is middle class America that needs all those things to drive the country. And those are the things that always perform well over time. And the reason why for real estate is cash flow. There's four main reasons. There's appreciation, there's equity growth, and then there's tax advantages. You know, for example, you only have a W-2, you need to access the rest of the code in the book that they're not going to really teach you unless you start asking questions. And we work with a lot of people that give us a lot of great insight as it pertains to ways that you can lower what Uncle Sam says what you should pay him. Now, the other thing, we're going to talk about some terminology. This is the only slide that we're going to go through. I'm going to break it down a little slower.
This is the only math, okay?
This is the only
I
math,
need y'all to check in on the math, and then after that, y'all can check out, but this is the only math, so y'all just relax for those of you non-math people, okay?
Yes, and then,
And you don't even have to follow all the math, okay? It's okay if you don't follow the math.
But we talk a lot about commercial real estate because there's a magic that happens in commercial real estate that cannot happen in residential real estate. Those are two very distinct avenues to pursue. But we're going to talk about commercial real estate, and we're going to talk about net operating income. And the reason why is because it is a magic number when it comes to evaluating commercial and the returns that it can generate. But the formula goes like this. The total income minus the operating expenses equals the NOI. That's net operating income. Now, net operating income is the money the property makes after the operating cost, but before the mortgage. It's one of the most important numbers in real estate. I would actually say it might be the most important number because when you're looking at commercial real estate, it's real estate as a business. Some of you are tech people, SaaS, service as a software, right? Software as a service. I'm sorry. Well, this is real estate as a business. Real estate because this is a business. It's not your personal property. It's not just a rental property. Now, give you a little scenario here where the magic kind of comes in, and I'm using very generic, basic numbers just to make sure that you follow along and I don't lose anybody in the room. Some of you are like, you're going way too slow. I need to hear the big stuff. Well, we got to keep it for everyone, make sure the first time they're hearing this. Let's take $1 million property. That's a small commercial property. And cap rate is a new terminology. I'm not going into the full definition about it because it is actually quite boring and it's a little bit magical in itself. But every asset class, every property, every area in the city for that type of property is going to kind of have what that type of property is trading at. In this case, it's 10%. That's a super conservative number that we're going to use so we can have round numbers. But $1 million property at a 10% cap rate that is generating $100,000 in net operating income. That's basically the money that it's producing after the expenses before the mortgage. So that's the most important part to pay attention to is the $100,000. Now, if we increase that $100,000, the net operating income, by just $10,000, maybe we increase a little bit of rent. We haven't even put any money into the property. We just found something that was undervalued, and we were able to increase that just by $10,000. Maybe we put stripes and gave some private parking, or we created some covered park, or whatever we did, but we increased it just by $10,000. So now it's generating $110,000. Well, the new value on that, because we were at $1 million, but now we just had a $100,000 increase on the NOI. We now have a new value of $1.1 million. You can't do that with a residential property. You cannot radically change the value of the property. So now you've got $100,000 additional on your exit in profit that you did not have before. There's not a piece of residential property that you can do that with by putting a new master bath in or whatever it might be, because you've got a tremendous expense. There's no multiplying effect. And really the way we look at things is you should be able to, on every dollar that you increase the NOI by, somewhere between, you're going to get $10 to $20 more back on that exit just for that additional dollar that you put in.
Let me say it another way, okay? In our community, we really focus, the real estate we focus on is on commercial. Because on commercial real estate, you have control and you have a say-so on how much that property is valued at. How many of you want control over that? How many of y'all are some control freaks? Come on, I'm a control freak. Y'all can say it, it's okay. Okay, so we want to control how our properties are valued, right? If you have a single family rental, like a house that you're renting, it does not matter how pretty you make the inside. It does not matter if you put all hardwood floors, granite countertops, add a sauna, a steam bath. It does not matter. It is not going to change the value of that home because that home, the value is based on the comparable homes in the market. So it doesn't matter what you do to that home. It can be the most magical home ever, and it's still going to be valued at what the market says it's valued at. But in a commercial property, if you increase the rent, for every dollar you increase the rent on an annual basis, you're going to increase the value $10 to $20. So you have control over how much that property is worth. And fast forward a few years, as that property appreciates, and this is what the wealthy do, they value add, they increase the value of the property. That's what's called forced appreciation. And then they pull money out of the property and they go wash, rinse, repeat, go buy another property. Okay? And that's the secret sauce. And for some of y'all checked out. You're like, $1 million property? I'm never going to own $1 million property. How many of y'all did that? Y'all checked out, okay? I need y'all to check back in, because what we're about at Investor Next Door Club is breaking down every barrier that's in the way of you getting into the game. So we're going to break down that $1 million barrier too. We're just not there yet, okay? So can y'all hang with me? Don't check out, check back in, all right? So even though it looks like an impossibility at $1 million, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not impossible, because we've made a way that makes it possible for everyday people like you, like me, to get into the game.
I'll give you a perfect example where, listen, I've been in the chairs where I did not feel like I was qualified. I didn't think that I had the intelligence to be able to look at stuff like that. And that was still after I had 2 funds that I did over $45 million with, because I was just in the residential game. And I didn't think, like, someone said, oh, you should get into commercial. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm qualified for that. It's like, when do you think you will be? Like, I just didn't have that inside of me that I could actually do that. I had been doing it for other people, but then it was like, oh, you're ready for this next stage. Well, I realized after I made that shift, I didn't have to stay where I stayed for as long as I did. I actually didn't have to spend that much time in the residential space. Matter of fact, I didn't have to spend any time in the residential space, but no one taught me about net operating income. I knew a lot about business. I knew a lot about a lot of things, but no one told me that magic number of what that could actually generate over time if I was actually focused on holding commercial property and partnering with other people. So a little bit this. Real estate is going to double. Commercial real estate is going to double every 15 years or sooner, period. There's no argument against it. The statistics are there. It's been that way decade after decade. There's even times where it's every 7 to 8 years, the value is going to double. There's no guarantee that's going to happen with an index fund or a specific stock, right? And here's the thing, real estate doesn't ever go to zero. Like, real estate does not go to zero, and they're not making any more dirt. So bottom line is, it's like there, right? So we might as well figure out a way to go get it together. Now, there is a window of opportunity that's happening right now that some of you may not be aware of. I've tracked this for years, but it was really interesting when we were way back, still shelter in place, probably 2021, the fat cats out there, they were enjoying 3% interest on their money, getting $25 million, $50 million type loans. And I mean, 3% is free money. Like, I don't even know why they were charging interest at that point, but they got very comfortable at 3% interest. And over time, there was this little trickle that started happening, something that never happened in our country's history ever. The interest rate more than doubled in 12 months. It went from 3% to 7% back in 22, all the way to 23. That became a real big hurting for people, because now, picture this, remember back in, some of you remember this, in 2008, adjustable rate mortgages, or people that were doing the crazy loans and this, that, and the other. The reason why they got foreclosed on was because their mortgage payment doubled on them. Well, guess what? With these commercial owners, their mortgage doubled on them, more than doubled on them. They went from a $100,000 a month payment to a $200,000 a month payment. They didn't plan for that. So now what's been going on for a couple of years, so we've got banks that have been extending and pretending, trying to keep these people in the properties because they don't want the properties back. Well, now the window is basically this. We've gone a number of years with these high interest rates. They cannot refinance into something else. And the banks are now telling more than 50% of all the loans out there, you need to sell. And we're going to help you sell, or we're going to foreclose. There is a pressure cooker that's going on right now that's not being talked about enough, but it is happening all around us, because for so long we had this cheap money that made these prices so high. Now we have stuff that are starting to sell for 20 and 30% less, which means they're selling for construction cost or less. That hasn't happened in 25 years. but it is happening right now.
So when we saw this window of opportunity opening up, we knew we wanted to jump in. We also didn't just want to jump in, we wanted to jump in and bring a lot of friends with us. And so we looked for a way to be able to bring people along that weren't necessarily playing with the big dogs. We thought, you know what? Why should the rich get richer because there's a window of opportunity? Why can't the middle class also get richer? Like, wouldn't you like a little piece of that too? Yeah, you would, right?
Now, I do like what Warren Buffett says here. He said this in a kind of like his Berkshire Hathaway meeting. Someone stood up and said, got on the microphone and said, Mr. Buffett, what about real estate? Aren't you concerned about real estate? What's going to happen with the values and all this other stuff, right? And he simply just said, real estate's going to be fine. It's just going to have new owners. Question is, who's going to be the new owners? Because it could be all of us in this room if you see that as a possibility for yourself. But, he said it very plainly. He has no concern about what's happening with real estate. He just wants to make sure that there's new owners to clean up the mess. Now, there's traditional barriers to entry.
Can I get the clicker?
You may.
Because he needs to go a little faster. Otherwise, we are going to be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. So one of the things that we saw is there's some traditional barriers to entry to get into commercial real estate because we've witnessed it. We've participated in it. And traditionally, education for commercial real estate costs anywhere between $10,000 and $30,000. And that is just for that's just for education. That's not the investment. And we've been in those rooms where we had the money to invest, but we were also alongside people that bet on themselves and they put it on a credit card and they were hoping this was the thing that was going to help them get ahead. And we knew that wasn't going to get them ahead because usually that's only a 1 year of access. You can't learn everything there is to know to get into commercial real estate in just 1 year. And we thought there's got to be a better way than that. And real estate investing typically requires $25,000 or more to get started, and that's conservative. There's some funds that they don't even talk to you unless you're going to be investing $50,000 or $100,000. And for a lot of people, they just can't do that. And then most people don't have extra income to invest, but the vast majority feel completely isolated and completely on their own. Even in some of those communities that we've been in, you have to be in the inner circle to be able to participate with some of those big dogs. Otherwise, you're left hunting and pecking. So one of the things that is an actual real legal barrier is that in a lot of these real estate opportunities, you have to be what's called an accredited investor. So an accredited investor is a person who makes either $200,000 a year as an individual or $300,000 a year as a couple, or has $1 million net worth, not including their primary residence. And that is less than 13% of the population. And you heard my other statistic earlier, Goldman Sachs. People who make in households that make over $300,000 a year, 40% are still living paycheck to paycheck. Those people are accredited investors, and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. So it's not about being able to access it. It still is not open for everybody. So our system with Investor Next Door Club, we did everything we could to remove all these traditional barriers that keep people out of the game. So we've got this really great collaborative community to really encourage your growth in and around investing and finances. We've got education that we're offering without the crazy high price tag. We've got access to investing opportunities with really low minimums where anybody can jump into the investing game. And we've got a way to create income while you learn. So it's literally everything you need in one place. And it's not just another opportunity, okay? We didn't create this just for people to make money. It really is a financial movement that's community powered. We believe that when you're in a community of like-minded people, changing the conversation around finances, it doesn't just change your finances, it changes the lives of your children and your children's children. Richard said this is a family business. We want our grandbaby who's sleeping in the back, we want her to have a different conversation growing up than we did, than our kids did. Because we know when people change the conversation in a community environment, it changes the trajectory of not just communities and families, it changes the trajectories of cultures and generations. And that's what this is really about.
So we have an academy that is part of the Investor Next Door Club as far as the club membership, and we cover a variety of different topics. The thing to really understand is that there are programs out there, and they're $20, $25, or more $1,000 on an annual basis. But here's the thing, they're dated. They don't fit the times that we're in right now. They're old strategies. They're based on old models. What we did is we wanted to curate people that were active in the field, that were doing business, that have never contributed to others. The people that we've put around us are the people that actually want to give back and help those people move into the phase. They're trying to be the person they wish they had 20 some odd years ago, that they could save you some of the lumps and bruises. But the Academy is just very simple. There's over 100 videos that are in there on various topics. Listen, one tax strategy could save you thousands of dollars a year, no question, right? But also one opportunity around what to look for could actually change your trajectory over the next 2 to 3 years dramatically.
And we're adding to this library all the time because we know that you need more than just this to really get ahead financially. I just met an incredible woman on Saturday, and what she does is she teaches about generational wisdom around finances. How many of you guys would like to have an expert teach you how to talk to your kids about finances and set them up and launch successfully your kids out of your house and off your payroll? How many of you like that, right? Yeah, y'all laugh, but y'all are, yeah, that's me. Those are the kind of things that we're consistently adding in our community to be able to equip people to really get ahead financially.
Now, here's some of the people just that contribute. One of them you'll hear from tonight, but from law to real estate to from residential to commercial, I mean, we really do cover it all. And they all entered into the private real estate investing game from different sides of the spectrum. I mean, one was a gym trainer, one was an Air Force pilot, the other was a lawyer, right? And the other came from corporate America. It's just to name some of them. We're attracting people all the time. They're like, hey, can I contribute to your platform? And we're like, absolutely. We're looking for great people, because we believe that, doing things with amazing people leads to creating amazing things. So we've also got tools, calculators, and templates that are offered inside of that basically just to give you insight to what's going on. There's a lot of people that, talk about the lifestyle creep is, what you don't know actually can hurt you. Some people like to say, well, if I don't know it, it can't hurt me. Well, that's just not true. We want to be able to give you insight and awareness in the privacy of your own home without feeling like you're having to just vomit in front of somebody else. You get to do this from the privacy of your home, and then to see what other additional support you may or may not want.
This is probably some people's biggest hurdle in our community. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but some of you don't want to know your finances because it's painful. You don't want to know, and y'all laugh, but there's a lot of people out there. They're afraid to look at the balance sheet because they really don't want to know. They think ignorance is bliss, and ignorance is not bliss. And for most people, when they go through these calculators, there is a freedom that occurs from just the knowing. Because now we can create a plan, and we call it a good plan. It's a get out of debt plan. And when you are on a plan, that empowers you. And so one of the things we want to give you tonight is this net worth and cash flow calculator. It's free. We don't save any of the information. It's all for you. You can download the information, but it's going to go through step by step all the places that you're spending money. And one of the things that you're going to find is most people will find $200, $250 of waste every month. Just waste. That's a lot of money that you're just giving away that you're not actually using. Money being wasted is money that could actually go to work for you. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about net worth and cash flow. The wealthy, when they think about money, they don't think about income. The wealthy don't talk about income. Most people in the middle class, when they think about money, they think about income. How much more money can I make this year than I can make next year? Usually their goal is how much more money that I make. How much more money can I make in my business or in my business or on my job? What kind of bonus can I get? The wealthy look at how much cash flow can I generate that's going to generate me net worth. So they don't think about income. They think it a whole different way. They look at buying things that generate cash flow that's going to increase their net worth so that they can have freedom. It's a whole different way of looking at things.
So how many of you believe that being in the right room with the right people can completely change your financial future? That happened for us a long time ago. Things that I didn't think were possible for me. I had a landscape construction company. That was my first business. Had it for 17 years. Thought that was going to be my life. It was actually the company that bought the house that we live in today. The lid of what was possible for me was pretty low, but then someone stretched my imagination. And then I found someone else to stretch my imagination. And I kept getting around people that were stretching my imagination of what was possible. It wasn't just imagination. They gave me skills. They gave me tools. They gave me guidance. And I love being in rooms where there's people that are like-minded, that it doesn't matter if you're starting off at the very beginning or if you've got someone who's seasoned 20, 30 some odd years. Everyone can contribute something to one another because we've all got two eyes, we've all got two ears, and we've all got this burning desire to get to that next level, right?
So we meet in all sorts of different ways. So you're going to meet online, you're going to meet in person, we do social events, we do inside looks. You're going to have lots of opportunities to get together with people. But the thing for some of you that is going to be the greatest asset to you that would have you join our club is the community. For most people, they don't have a great supportive community that's actually stretching them, helping them grow. I grew up, I grew up with immigrants. My parents were immigrants. They became citizens when I was 10. So they didn't know a lot about the election process. And so I only voted in the majors. I've never voted in the primaries. But I got in a group of women that are all about politics, and they're all talking about the primaries and who they're voting for and what's the platform of this and what's the issue of that. And now I'm voting in the primaries. So when you get around people who are doing certain things, it is only a matter of time before you do that too. If you're in a community of people who are watching what they're spending and they're looking at how to grow their wealth, it's only a matter of time before you start doing the same thing. So that's why we've created a community. You can go learn stuff on YouTube and all that stuff, but it doesn't give you the community. It doesn't give you the iron sharpening iron aspect that a community really gives you.
I'm sure if I hang around Paul long enough, I'm going to be doing marathons.
I think you will actually. So our community also we give our community access to a private investing club. So our club members gain access to our private crowd fund. How many of you ever heard of a crowd fund? Okay. So it's a little bit like what you've heard, but a lot not what you've heard. Okay. So our members can start investing with hundreds of dollars instead of tens of thousands of dollars. It gives people a way to get in the game. And our crowd fund is registered by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So the reason why we say that is there's a lot of scams out there. How many of you, I'm not going to say how many of you participate in a scam, how many of you have heard or seen a scam, right? So one of the things we've done, our attorney back there says, yeah, I've seen them, I've heard of them, is we wanted to make sure that we had a way that anybody could start investing. It doesn't matter if you've got a lot of money in the bank or a little bit of money. We wanted you to get in the game and start investing.
I talk with all sorts of fund managers all the time, and I've heard people use the phrase over and over again, everyday people. And then I look at their minimum investment requirements, which is $25K. I'm like, okay, how many everyday people do you bump into that have an extra $25K sitting around that they can park for 5 years? And they're like, I said, really what you're looking for is everyday high net worth people. You're just doing marketing. We wanted to put our money where our mouth was because my previous funds, you had to be accredited and your minimum investment was $25K, period. And I didn't want to do that again. When I told Mary that we were going to start another fund, I said, I've got to find a way to include everyone. And I spent a year, due diligence, with Eric, my partner and attorney, on how are we going to do this with crowdfunding, because this is not done this way very often. When I say very often, because I don't want to say first, because that tends to scare people. It's just we created something that only high net worth people normally have access to with this type of structure. And when you think of crowdfunding, go ahead and go to the next slide. Most of the time, you only get to go into one of these types of assets, or maybe you're investing in a movie or you're investing in a tech startup, but all of it sits in one asset. Well, that would be normal because I've done that a bunch also. But I wanted to have it to where people could actually be protected against the outside unknowns. There's always unknowns in any kind of investment. There's unknowns in business, there's unknowns in investing. But these are what we focus on because this has become the backbone of America. And we've recently added data centers and energy storage because that infrastructure is growing and booming. And here's the thing, no everyday person's being invited to participate in a data center or an energy storage facility. Only the big firms and only high net worth people. We've cracked the code on being able to do that.
And if you look at these asset classes, these property types, you're going to see a common thread. They're high demand, they generate cash flow, and they're everywhere.
So a typical fund that most people would get into, they would go into one asset. That means 100% risk sits in that one asset. I don't care if it's one property, one tech company, one whatever. It is literally just 100% risk sitting in one investment. But what we created was a diversified crowd fund. And the reason why is because we know a lot of people have a lot more familiarity or confidence, maybe with their 401k, maybe with a mutual fund, maybe with an index fund. And the reason why they have a lot more confidence is when they have experience with it, but they understand that when there's more assets to shoulder the risk, then the highs and the lows, they kind of get mitigated, and it allows for a more conservative, safer type of environment for people to invest in. So click there. So the same thing happens, money's gathered, right? But instead of just being in one asset, you put your investment in, for example, and let's say it's $1,000. Well, every bit of whatever the fund owns and will own over time, that investment gets spread out over all those assets, not just the one asset with 100% risk. So we wanted to do this to mitigate. High net worth people invest in private equity because the risk gets spread out tremendously and the returns are much higher. And the reason why for that is because they have this bucket that they don't have to worry about something just tweaking one thing on one investment that's going to upset the whole apple cart, because they have these other assets that can shoulder the weight.
Yeah, so just to say it another way, is if we were all a crowdfund in a traditional crowdfund on the left, we would all put money in and then we would buy one property. So we're all going to pray that that one property makes it, okay? And if that one property doesn't make it or something detrimental happens, then we're all losing our money, okay? Or we're taking a loss. But in our diversified crowdfund, we all pull together and we're going to buy, the fund is going to buy all these different asset classes. So imagine owning a piece of each one of those instead of just owning some of one property type. It's going to mitigate our risk and it's going to expand what's possible for us.
This is just fractional investing at scale, right? So high net worth people have been able to fractionally invest for a long time. Now everyday people, real everyday people, get to fractionally invest just like high net worth people. So I do want to take a moment just to kind of introduce some people that are working with and some of our members as well. So Eric, Daniel, Madison, what else do we have? Paul. Can y'all come up here real quick? And Jake, could you come real quick? And
also bring your chair.
Yeah, I was going to say bring a chair.
Not Madison. You let the guys grab the chair. You come up here. Let's give them a hand. So we wanted to introduce, come on up, this is Madison Hatcher. We wanted to introduce you guys to some of the members in our community so you kind of get a sense. We're just going to stand.
Don't worry about the chairs, that's
We're just going to stand. Just so you can get a sense of kind of what makes up our community, why people join our community, because people join our community for a variety of different things. Do I have a mic? Who has the mic? Oh, Madison has a mic. Okay, Madison is 25 years old. 25. How many of y'all would like to have this conversation when you're 25 years old? Like, for real. I mean, Chris is like, dang it. He's like, you know? So tell me, Madison, why did you even want to join Investor Edge Door Club? Like, what was that about?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mary and Richard, for this opportunity. So I'm 25, and I do not come from rich parents. My dad's a felon. Mom doesn't even have a high school degree. They actually both don't have a high school degree. Diploma, I guess, not degree. My dad got his GED in prison. Grandparents, just middle class, so this doesn't come because my parents, invited me to meet Mary, I decided after graduating college that I always knew the power of networking and building relationships. So I just went out and I thankfully met Mary. And through that process, I just always knew the power of relationships and growing. And from there, I guess, I mean, I don't even know how I got here, honestly, just blessed, meeting the right people, being in the right rooms. And then, from there, I guess, just a question. I mean, I don't even know how I got here. I'm blessed. I guess that's how I got here. But being a part of the community, what it's really done is education that they don't teach you in school, education that my parents were never able to teach me because they still do not know themselves. So the education part of the community, as well as just the community aspect itself, it's very powerful. The power of getting together, sharing what's happening, what's going on, it's very beneficial. So that's been my experience. And of course, I just want to also take a moment to speak on Mary and Richard's character in general. Like, Mary personally mentors me, and what I can say is these people truly do have a heart for everyday people. They could be doing so many other things. They could be doing so many other things, but instead their heart posture towards this is truly to give everyday people the opportunity to invest. And the amount that I've seen them pour into people, it's honestly mind-blowing. And so I love serving Mary. I love serving in the community. And I think if a whole bunch of people can get in a room and serve one another, there's power in that. So,
Awesome. Okay, go ahead. We were gonna do a panel, but I think we're gonna go a little late. Do you want me to just go down the road, or you want to?
Yeah, real quick. So, I mean, Eric, we've known each other for about 20 years, various transactions, but then obviously recently over the past couple of years, and really putting all this together. One, tell a little bit about your legal background, real estate, but also share a little bit about the process that we went through to put something compliant together that we can withstand the time with.
Exactly. My background is I've been an attorney here in Dallas since about 96, so about almost 28 years. I specialized and primarily focused in business transactions, corporate structures, capital raising, some stuff into the securities world. One thing before I go any further is that with 28 years doing transaction, really the only ones that ever made a difference to people were the ones dealing with real estate. You'd have some quick gains and other small transactions here or there, but it was always the ones of real estate that really turned the corner for people for wealth and stuff. So when Richard and I got together a while back, and he was talking about his mission on this, it really took some thinking outside the box to put something together that would legally make something compliant, and put a structure together that would work for all the people. And it took us a long time. It took us a lot of law firms outside of mine, New York law firms, West Coast law firms, and finally we got them to agree on the mission and how we could accomplish it.
Yeah.
It was good.
And let me tell you a little bit about this process, watching Eric and Richard do this, because originally when Investor Next Door Club was being formed, I was not a part of it. I was doing my own thing. I was doing leadership programs for women. And I knew that was where I was called to. But as I watched these two men listening in on conversations about how can we do this? How can we do this legally? How do we make this work so that we can make the most for people and be legal and be compliant and have a future that could grow and stand the test of time? And it was not just it was lots of conversations. It was probably about 8 or 9 months, right, of hashing things out before we figured out a way with a law firm that could do the securities work to create the kind of crowd fund that would allow people like you and people like us to be able to invest in a micro way, in a small way, to be able to have fractional ownership of real estate in a legitimate way that would be long lasting. So I just want to thank you, Eric, for, I mean, it's like hours of time with Richard without any pay, without any promise of a future, to just really make this happen. So I just so appreciate you. Thank you. Daniel and I go way back. We are old family friends, 30 years. I've known Daniel gosh, I've known you longer than you knew your wife. You've known me longer than I knew Richard. So we go way back. But what I want Daniel to share about is really, I'm in awe of what his dad has done in real estate, specifically commercial real estate. And I want you to share a little bit about, like, even though you guys have mastered commercial real estate, like income producing assets, check that box. Y'all got that down. And some of y'all see his signs around town. It's Ingvest. You see it all around Plano. But I want you to share a little bit about your portfolio, but also what has you join Investor Next Door Club?
Yeah, so from the investment side, my father earlier on got into real estate. He was in the restaurant business, and then he had money, and he went into real estate, and just kept on growing that. I came after college, and we started growing the portfolio. So we have close to 1 million square feet of retail, shopping center, B and C class.
A million square feet of retail. Let that sink in. 1 million square feet.
So from there, the brokerage side came along, and my business partner Calvin and I started a brokerage. I had a residential company as well with other partners. And then 5 years ago, I joined this platform called EXP. It's a real estate tech platform. It allowed me to grow my real estate team globally. So in the 5 years, I've recruited over 600 plus people. And from there, the reason I wanted to grow this community, and when Mary and Richard talked about this community, I was like, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted agents, real estate agents, because they're transactional, they're commission based, they have no retirement plan. But within our platform of EXP, it allowed them to have shares, so they have ownership. So that's great. They could build a organization if they wanted to, and that has some passive income to it. And then I wanted them to also own real estate, and that's where I was stuck on, because we would either buy a multifamily, and I know that there are some multifamilies that a couple of the groups have invested. Guess what? It's gone because I had a fire or something happened, and all their money is gone because they didn't go bankrupt, but they lost because of the mortgage. There's another one that they also invested in, another group in our group that they had a capital call because they didn't have enough capital. So they had to do that. So there's a lot of things that were not safe. And I don't endorse anyone's product in our group because we have over hundreds of people. But how could I find something that's more effective for agents? Because not every agent can put $100,000. They're not accredited, right? A lot of the real estate agents are not accredited. So when they came up with this crowdfunding with Inc., and I said, hey, this actually is kind of like full circle. This is actually where I want my agents. They can also invest and they can diversify. And at the same time as they can learn. Because for me to teach every single agent how to invest, because every investment product is different. So when they came to me, I was like, hey, this is actually makes sense. And that's why I joined, because one is building this community. We all get to look at the product together. We all get to learn. And at the same time I'm growing my, global real estate network, globally, because I'm in different countries now. Same thing. We can do capital raises. We can figure it out. And going back to like every person can do it. That's the same thing where every agent in my sense, every agent is able to invest, because not every agent can invest. Yeah. And versus just doing house flips and things like that. And at the same time as our family portfolio, we don't really partner up with other people. That was my father's thing, where he was raising capital. I did my first capital raise right after college, and I raised $500,000, $50,000 each. We bought a $2 million property. It's paid off now. We still have it. It's a great asset in Irving. It's still there, and the investors are happy.
Now, I want you to get what he said. So he came out of college. He did his first capital raise. He raised $500,000 and bought a $2 million property, and it's paid off now. Imagine that you've learned this information and you can transfer it to your children when they graduate. And maybe you're too late for that. Your children have already graduated. What if you could transfer it to your grandchildren so that they could have this future? Do you get that? This is not just about you and your life. It's about what can it do for your children and your children's children and their children's children. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to touch ball. Okay, so did you share that you sold your company for 8 figures? Okay. He sold his company for 8 figures. If you sold your company for 8 figures, would you be here tonight? No, you won't. Most people would not. So I want you to share a little bit about the background, but what was it that called you to Investor Next Door Club? Because certainly you didn't have to do this.
I've always been blessed. God's always put very smart people in my life. Here, let me just break it down for you. When I sold my company and we were sitting at the table and this man that was buying the company from me, who I love to death, he's an amazing man. I wish I could tell you. One day I'll be able to tell you the exact figure. Right now, because of NDA stuff, I get to say 8 figures. My lawyer in the background knows why I say that. But when they bought my company and we were going through everything and we found a price, we're like, yeah, we're in. Let's do this thing. He says, do you have an M&A lawyer? I said, no, sir, I do not. And my wife was sitting beside me and she was looking. My wife loves to ask questions. She's the best question asker in the world. And I knew I couldn't look at her because she was about to ask me, what's M&A? I don't know. I ain't got a clue. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out why I need a lawyer because I'm getting along with this guy. Everything's working perfect. Why do I need a lawyer? I love you. You love me. You want my company? Come on, let's do this thing. Let's do life together. I later learned that it's merger and acquisitions. So I got to hang around with smart people. And that's why I believe God put Daniel in my life. The dude, he's very humble. I'm going to just tell him, okay? He went to college in one of the best colleges in Switzerland. Yeah, he's brilliant. He's freaking brilliant. And he didn't tell me that when he first met me because I told him I barely graduated high school. If I went to college in Switzerland, I'm telling you, that's the first thing I'm saying about myself. You know what I'm saying? Hi, I went to college in Switzerland. My name's Paul. And let's just be real. He owns all of Plano, okay? Him and his family own all of Plano. Like, his father is the godfather. He could have us all killed if we're in Plano, okay? Go to any restaurant in Plano and just mention the name Ing, and then just make sure me and Daniel are tight. That way you don't get killed up in there. But so I got to have smart people in my life. And I think God said, here you go. Here's Daniel Ing. Because I don't know what to do with 8 figures. I really don't. I'm a psychology guy. I know how jacked up y'all all are. Okay? And I could sit down with y'all and help y'all with your self-image, your self-worth. Money, taxes, got no clue. I got no clue at all. So I've always had great people in my life. And then when Daniel introduced me to Mary and Richard, I was like, okay, good. Yeah, this is what I need in my life. I need someone like this in my life. I think Richard told me immediately, he goes, are you paying taxes? And I said, yeah, a bunch. He goes, you're in real estate now. Stop doing that. I said, okay, this is why you're in my life. I didn't know what M&A meant. You know what I'm saying? So I like it for that because they do. You know when someone's smarter than you and they let you know they're smarter than you and you're afraid to ask questions? Y'all with me? The cool thing I like about Richard and Mary, there's no dumb questions. It's just ask away. We're not going to make fun of you. We're not going to laugh at you. Like I'll ask Richard a question. He'll go, oh, you're an idiot. So he doesn't say those things. He's just very nice. And that's the cool thing I like about this because I have kids, Madison, your age, and I want them to have the ability to learn from these 2 brilliant people. I can't teach them that. I can let them know how jacked up they are, but I don't know the stuff that's in their heads, right? And I know they'll take care of my kids. And the fact that they can invest for $500 and that's it, I was like, sign me up. I need you to get in front of my kids. I need them to be part of your life and their friends' lives, right? Because that's what it's all about. Because it's okay. You don't have to know everything. Y'all aware of that? Like, you don't have to play no game like you know everything. Like, he told me I was a accredited investor. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay, cool, I am. Can I put that on my business card? He goes, I wouldn't. But he told me. So it's just beautiful that you get to have those people in your life. And that's why I picked you guys. It was just, you talk at everybody's level.
Yeah, thank you. We kept Jake for last because he is our son in love. In all the ways we love him, and he's married to our eldest, and we're probably going to bring her up. Is it okay if we hide her face because it's crazy out there, so they don't want her on social. She's precious and sweet. Zach, are you out there? Can you hear me? I'm going to have you come up too. This is a family business for us. What drives us is not the money, okay? There's other ways you can make money that you don't have to do this kind of stuff. But what drives us is really providing a future for our family and our kids. And I want Jake to share a little bit about why he started with us, because he has given a lot of time, and he has been like a Hebrew slave in a lot of ways with us launching our business. And so, you as a mom, you pray that your kids find great people to spend their life with. And I just love you, Jake, and who you are and how you've been with our grandbaby. And she's like, I want the mic, Daddy. So we just love you and honor you.
Love you guys too. I do a lot of things. Sorry, is that me? I'm good. Great. There's so many things I could say. One, I think Richard and Mary probably cringed entire Paul's conversation because they are so humble. And one of the things too is that they do know a lot, but they also know that they don't know a lot. It was one of the first things that took me, like, I grew up normal is what I say, and then I married into this family. One of the first things I did was go to a personal growth seminar, and had never been to one of those. That was interesting. But I remember they drew a circle on the board, and they said, like, this is what you know, right? And then drew another circle, like, this is what you don't know. Another circle, this is what you don't know that you don't know, right? And so I think there's so many things that they know is a lot more than a lot of us. But they also know that they don't know a lot of things. They bring in people like Eric. They can bring in people that have a lot of expertise in these other areas, right? And that you can pull from, which is really cool. Two things that came to mind as I was walking to this stage unexpectedly are one, my generation is really a renting generation, a leasing generation. My generation doesn't own property a lot of times, right? When I hear what my parents paid for their house or what your Mary paid for their house, their first starter house, it's really, it's tough. My young guy in the front laughing, right? $200,000, $216,000, $230,000. Like when we were looking at starter homes, $650,000 if you don't want a shed. And so it's like, it's a different world that we're growing up in.
It's one step above a shed, too.
It's a different world that we're growing up in. But we listened to a podcast recently, which actually had Grant Cardone talking on it. And it said, this is the first time in American history that we're looking to the government to solve our problems. When is the government going to solve our housing crisis? Right? When is the government going to solve this? Historically, the American dream has always been, you go and make more. You go and earn more. And so it's like we've become so dependent on our jobs, on our W-2s, on all these things. We've been on a huge faith journey ourselves. Left my W-2 in March of 24, and we've been doing marketing and serving other companies, all these things in the meantime. But it's just crazy to think that my generation is renting everything, and we don't have a way to own property, right? So one of the things when I heard, I could own real estate tomorrow for $500. That's a pretty big shift, right? That's a pretty big opportunity for a generation that doesn't own anything, right? It's a really good selling point. And then on top of that, I'm on the marketing side, like I said, so I'm a tester of things. I like to test the market. So everybody say hello.
Hello.
Thank you. You're all awake. Who here has considered themselves an investor? Okay, a good amount. But a good amount who doesn't consider themselves investors at the same time, right? You maybe haven't invested in a fund, maybe a 401k, whatever it is, right? We are all investing, right? We're investing our time right now in this room, right? And the great thing about Inc. is that you're investing your time in a community. I think a lot of times before you invest your money, you need to invest your time. You need to be around the right people. We dropped baby Jesus. Sorry, Jesus is okay. We need to invest our time with the right people before we invest our dollars, right? And this is a place where you can invest your time in the right place, know the right people, and invest your dollars. And I mean, this is not a sell to invest. None of this is a sell to invest, but it's a sell to get in the right room with the right people because they will take you to the right places, right? The crowdfund might be the right opportunity for some people. It might not be, right? The goal of this community is to be able to make a space for you to learn and grow and move so much far beyond what you currently think is possible because there's people in this room that know what's possible. They know what you don't know, that third circle, right? They know what's beyond for you and they want it for you and they're willing to walk with you to get there, right? But a lot of times we just need to take a step into the right room so that you can experience what you've never experienced before. So I'm grateful for Richard and Mary. They are amazing people. I trust them with our baby, which says a lot. And I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you. I think I can step down now that Jake's going to take it over. I mean, he's just really excited.
You want to use that mic?
No,
or
I
you
just
want?
want to put it down.
Okay.
Got it. So, we wanted you to meet some of our members so you kind of get the idea of like where people are. The people are in all sorts of spaces, and it doesn't matter where you are financially, what your personal income is. All that matters is you've got an interest in learning more, an interest in getting ahead financially. And like Jake said, the crowd fund, if you're a member, you can participate in that with as little as $500. You can invest $5,000, you can invest $50,000, but you can start with just $500. And when Richard and I were looking at the crowd fund, we got to decide, because he's the fund administrator, what was going to be the minimum. And we went back and forth. We were like, is it 1,000? Is it 2,000? Is it how much? And we decided on 500 because our heart was to have the barista at your coffee shop be able to invest if they wanted to, because we believe anybody with a desire could cobble together $500 and start investing, including your high schooler that's 16 years old working at Chick-fil-A. They could cobble together $500 over their summer job and be able to start investing and shift their perspective. And that was really what it's about.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So if you liked anything of what we said and you want to stay connected, scan that QR code. It's going to plop you into a text message, and you're just going to respond event. It's already going to be in your text message, and send it to us, and we'll put you on our distribution for when we do an inside look at real estate investing, when we do a social gathering, when we do some deep dive master class on tax strategies, and all that's free. It's all free to the public. We offer that so that we can introduce our community to people if they want to participate.
Absolutely. Part of listening to Jake and over the several months that we've been talking with people, what's so apparent right now is that every generation is dealing with something crazy around finances, financial conversations. Millennials don't own anything. Baby boomers are exiting, and that's the wealthiest generation. But that doesn't mean they're all wealthy, right? And they're trying to figure out, oh my gosh, the plan they gave me 25 years ago, I don't have enough in retirement, and now they're moving in with kids, right? And so then we got the Gen Xers, which is us, where we're the sandwich generation. We're taking care of our aging parents, and we're still raising kids at home or at college or whatever it might be. Guess what? That cycle is going to continue unless we break that cycle. There's got to be a way. The younger generation, so it's like everyone in this room probably thought of, oh my gosh, I wish I knew this 25 years ago. I wish I had I could be in a conversation like this, whatever it is. Maybe some of you are already in that kind of conversation, but if you think, how many younger people can we reach sooner? One of my good friends, he's a mentor of mine. He runs a fund out in San Diego. He's like, when he heard what we were doing, he goes, all my staff that works for me, none of them can buy a house here in San Diego. They can't even invest in San Diego because there's no program to accept their income status. He goes, but I tell my staff now, hey, you can live here, but you can own real estate anywhere now. And that's the power of this, because we are trying to reach the masses. We are trying to reach the generations. And there's a way for all of us to help somebody else by doing that. That is why it is called Investor Next Door Club. It's to be able to extend your hand to your neighbor, to give them an opportunity that was given to you. Whether you take it or not, regardless, you can still extend a hand to somebody else, because somebody is looking for that answered prayer of like, I need to be in a group that thinks up here so I can go from here and I can go to here. Because when we raise our awareness, we raise our education, new opportunities show up. You stay with the same information, the same people, nothing new is going to show up. And tonight, hopefully, some things opened up for you just as a possibility, and you're probably thinking of other people that it actually could help also.
So we call it the Investor Next Door Club because how many of you have ever been to a country club, right? Or maybe you've been to or you've been a member. Wealthy people, contrary to what a lot of people believe, wealthy people do not join country clubs for the tennis and the golf. They don't, okay? That's a perk, but that's not the reason why they join. They join for the connections and the business relationships that happen, and that so happens on the tennis court and on the golf course. And so that's why we have Investor Next Door Club, is so that when you're in the club, things happen for you. Opportunities arise, doors open. So our membership really is your gateway to creating financial security. And so what you're going to gain access to inside our community is all of these things. So inside of our Inc. Academy, that's going to grow over time. That the information is going to grow. Anything in and around finances, investing, tax strategies, financial strategies, all that's going to be growing and accumulating over time. You're going to have live trainings and coaching. As our community grows, you have no idea all the things that Richard and I want to create in our community, things that are going to be able to access. Instead of you trying to figure out what's the best course for this thing, we're going to bring the experts to you. You don't have to sift through what's legit and what's not legit. We're going to do that due diligence for you. We're going to curate those people who are trusted, legitimate experts in their field to teach you the things that you want to know. You know, Tessa, I met her a few weeks ago and she was asking me about an 801 blah, blah, blah religious trust. And I said, let me go to our community about that. If you want to learn about that, that's something we can bring into our community. So instead of you trying to figure it out, you can let us help you, and we come alongside you to help you learn that. You're also going to get all sorts of stuff online as well as in person. And you guys are fortunate to be in Dallas-Fort Worth. We've got members all over the country. We've got members in other countries as well. We can open up in other countries as well. And then you're going to get the tools and templates and calculators and things that are coming down the pike. We've already got a lot of third parties that are going to be partnering with us to give you even more tools to really have your financial goals accelerated. Tools don't hinder you, they accelerate you. They take all the guesswork out of what it is you're doing, and you've got access to the crowd fund. You don't have to participate in the crowd fund. It's there for when you want to participate, for when you're ready to participate. And you can be ready day one, you can be ready day 100. It doesn't matter to us. We just wanted you to have access. And then you also are going to have access to our referral program, which we'll dive in deeper into in the next meeting for those of you who are interested in that. And this is what becomes possible.
So being able to gain financial confidence. Listen, I didn't grow up learning all this stuff. I grew up in a family business. My dad didn't teach me anything about finances. He just said, listen, you make profit from the business, you put it back in the business. And then what I got to witness was that business crumbled after 10 years, and I had to go figure out what I was going to go do with my life because I wasn't going into family business. But guess what I did when I started my first business? For 17 years, I just invested in my business, and I never took it elsewhere. I didn't have the financial confidence. I didn't have someone teaching me that. And life throws you curveballs. See, there's no way that we could come up with a cookie cutter approach for your specific life. But wouldn't it be nice to have a community of experts that you could say, hey, this just happened. I just got this letter from Uncle Sam. What do I do, right? Before you start going on Google and go, who can help me with this tax issue? And they're like, oh, I can help you. Just send us $10,000 and no promises, but we might be able to help you. I mean, I watch people get scammed all the time. But if they had a trusted community to help them with that financial confidence, the financial matters that happen, then we could save a lot of people from a lot of hurt. And we're not even talking about investing. We're just talking about how life comes at us. Having a strengthened community actually allows people to get through. And then being able to create monthly cash flow. That could be done a number of different ways, right? Whether you invest on your own, whether you invest through our fund, or you partner together. I mean, that's the beauty of when you're in a network, you learn things about people you spend time with, right? No one's giving anyone a check they don't understand, they don't know, they don't trust, right? So it takes time. You know, maybe you get those phone calls and they're like, oh, we got this great hot stock pick, we want you to invest in. You're not doing that. You don't know those people. But when you start doing some life with people and you start getting around the social events and the workshops, then guess what? You start to go, okay, this is someone I could do something with. I could partner with this person, or I want to do something with these people here. That's what gets made available. Now, being able to own real income producing assets. There's a lot of people that do not want it. They want a kind of a done for you model. And then there's some people that want to do it directly on their own. I recommend over time a hybrid approach, things that you own in your family name or your family trust, but also you can only do so much of that. Every successful person I know has a ton of passive investments while they have a few active investments. You can't be active in everything. So you need options. That's why we have the community. And then being able to really have money work for you while Mary shared earlier, we've had the privilege of being able to live on income that came whether we worked or not for over 15 years. Our kids grew up in an amazing, probably unrealistic lifestyle at times, and we did our best to keep them humble while we try to keep ourselves as humble as possible too. But I know what everybody wants is they want freedom and flexibility. That is the American dream. That is the currency of today. I don't care what we own. I don't care where we live. I do want freedom and I do want flexibility, and I want to help as many people as possible have that as well. So, bottom line is you can control your financial future, but more than likely you can't do it by yourself. It's important that you have a team with you.
I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Let me go back. Oh, I was thinking about this. How many of you realize you cannot save your way to retirement? Like, it's just virtually impossible. You've got to find a way. If it's not this, you've got to find a way to put your money to work for you. If you're going to work hard, your money needs to go work just as hard as you do. Because there's no way in today's market for you to be able to save your way to a comfortable retirement. You can save your way to retirement on a much lower lifestyle than you're accustomed to, but you certainly won't have the freedom and flexibility to travel and enjoy your retirement years if you don't find a way to put your money to work for you. Now, what happens if you don't do this? People talk about return on investment, but more important than return on investment is cost of inaction. If you don't do this, how are you going to reach your financial goals? And if you don't do this, it's okay with us. Like, we know this is not for everybody. Everyone's invited, but it's not for everybody. But if you don't do this, what are you going to do to reach your financial goals? And if it's not this, you got to find something. And our heart is that you go find something. And it's not a bad news that if you decide not to join us, it's actually good news. Now you got to be looking. You got to be searching for something else that's out there that's going to help you do that. So what do other programs cost? Okay, how many of you have ever been in other type of programs? Seminars, conferences, some of you not. Okay, let me tell you what other programs cost, okay? Financial education is going to cost you anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. That's single courses. Like, a single course will be $5,000. I met with someone that has a course that's $8,000. So single courses, $5,000 to $10,000. Real estate education is going to cost you anywhere between $10,000 and $30,000, and that's for 1 year of access. And I know some people in this room have paid $50,000, $60,000 for programs as well. So that's out there. Coaching and mentorship, that's going to be another $5,000 to $10,000. If you want to join a mentoring mastermind, you're looking at $25,000 or more, and that's for 1 year of access. And then any kind of community like this, it's gonna cost you anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to access a community. And then every individual tool and calculator out there is going to cost you another $1,000 to $2,000 because you're looking at subscription models. Every single month, you're going to be paying something for those tools. So your total startup cost, if you were to piecemeal this all together, is $26,000 to $62,000. And for most of that, it's for 1 year of access, and that's it. And one of the things that we saw is that we thought, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous for a middle-class family, that it takes that kind of investment to get ahead financially. Like, it is not right that it costs that much. We looked in our community and we knew we could do better than this to help a whole lot more people. So what we decided was, here, we're going to give you all of that in our community, but we're also going to give you access to this private crowd fund that's actually going to allow you to get in the game. And what it starts, the first month setup fee is $199. That's all it takes to get you in the game. And then your monthly renewal is $99. And there's no contract. You can cancel any time. What we believe and what we know is, once you get into the community and you start diving in, you realize this is the very thing that you've been looking for. We wanted a price point that anybody can access. And I can tell you right now that when you put your information into cash flow calculator, you're going to find $100 that you are wasting, that you can transfer into your membership. and actually put yourself and your family in a position to get ahead financially. So this is actually founder member pricing. So right now where we're launching, and I don't know how long we're going to have this, but whoever starts as a founding member, you're going to have this pricing guaranteed, grandfathered forever. So if we double our price or triple our price or whatever that is, you're always going to have this price. And that is not a gimmick, okay? Somebody has to start, because right now somebody has to start the community. And we believe in honoring the people who come alongside us and trust us in the process. We're in growth phase. We're in growing mode. We're going to have some growing pains. And we want to honor you for coming alongside us during the growth process. So the total startup for you is $199. That's all it costs to get you in the game and start investing in yourself. You know, one of the things that somebody had posted, a friend of mine had posted, what would your 16-year-old self say to you if they saw you today? And I thought, man, I was in tears, because I was this mousy, self-conscious, bushy eyebrowed little girl that didn't believe in myself. And I thought, man, my 16-year-old self would be in awe. She'd be in awe of what I've accomplished and the difference that I've made for people and the things that I've been able to create and the family and the life that Rich and I have been able to create. When I sat down and thought about it, forget about my 16-year-old self. I just turned 50. That was 35 years ago. What is my 85-year-old self going to say about, what am I at 50 going to say about my 85-year-old self? Because I believe in the next 35 years, we're going to be able to accomplish far more than I was able to accomplish with Richard in the first 35 years. You know, I have friends of mine that are gearing up and getting ready for retirement. We're just getting started because we know that there's so much more that we can provide for people. And I want you to think about it. I want you to think about 5 years from now, the person you are 5 years from now, the person you are 10 years from now. That person, what are they thinking you should be doing right now? What are they thinking? I wish I had back in 2026. I wish I had. Because that person 5 years from now and 10 years from now, they're counting on you. They're counting on you to do something to shift the trajectory. Whether it's this or it's something else, they're counting on you. And we want to implore you to do something, even if it's not this, because we know it's not for everybody. Okay? So we're going to give you high ticket value at a really low subscription price, because we wanted this accessible for anybody. And one of the things that we saw, and this is what we're going to discuss in the next room for those of you who are interested, is we've actually created this Inc. cash flow system because we understand how cash flows, okay? That's the name of the game, is understanding how cash flows. Money and finances and real estate is a lot like a game. If you go play a game, how many of y'all play video games with your kids and you don't know anything about anything and you're like, die, you're done. Like I die in like less than 0.2 seconds, and it's frustrating because I don't know how to play the game. And it's frustrating and I don't want to play because I don't understand it. Well, money and finance is a lot like that. There's a way, there's rules and strategies to the game. And once you understand the rules, it starts to become fun. And then when you get around experts who really understand more complex strategies, you start to really have fun in the game. And we figured out there's this whole cash flow system that we added one more component that will help you accelerate your financial goals. How many of you sitting here thinking, watching all this stuff, have already thought about 1 or 2 or 10 people that you know in your life, they could use this. This would be perfect for them. They would love this information. Well, we're going to show you in the other room how you can benefit just for sharing this community with other people. Because we believe that if we can help you accelerate your financial goals, we can mobilize people who can really make a difference in our community. All these people who are up here, they share one thing. And it's not that they want to get ahead financially, it's that they care about people. Like what I am so proud of that we're attracting is we're attracting great quality people who want to do good in this world. And that's what we're really about. So I'm going to let you speak to this.
You want me to speak to this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can relate to this so much in my life because I grew up in a way where I was belittled. I didn't think there was much that I could do with my life. I mean, it was really, this wasn't supposed to happen. Like, this wasn't supposed to happen. My family wasn't supposed to, none of it was supposed to happen. It just, that wasn't the foundation that I was giving. You know, I had a great loving mother. But the esteem, the self-esteem didn't exist. Like, it was just like nothing. I mean, I was waiting on like a gold plate. When I dropped out of high school, my friend's dad said, hey, I'm going to give you a gold-plated shovel because it's about all you're going to be able to do. He didn't know I was going to start a landscape company, so I really could have used that shovel. But but I didn't know that there was more in me until I got around people that saw more in me. And, you know, when I look at this by Zig Ziglar, it says, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And there was that moment in time probably where I had to take the scariest step forward. And granted, just don't get me wrong, I've taken a lot of scary steps forward. Starting this company, this is our biggest endeavor, our biggest investment, money and time and reputation. And we don't take it lightly. And I've spent a lot of 2 a.m. nights on my knees praying, listening for guidance. This is a serious business for us. At the same token, I've got a core value of fun. And so I expect us to have fun and profit together. And main thing is I want to make sure that we can help people that are looking for it. And I don't mean destitute, but I mean everybody in this room has the ability to do more for somebody else. We can do a lot more for each other, and the ripple effect from that will be something like we've never ever witnessed before. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. So here's your call to action, okay? Because you have to have a call to action. If you want to get started, get with whoever it was that invited you here tonight and get signed up. It takes that long. And here's your homework, okay? You got to go home. All of you got to go home, do your cash flow calculator and your net worth calculator. You got to do the work. Like, if you want to get ahead, whether you join us or not, I am imploring you to figure out where you are so that you can take a step. Because that figuring out could be the one thing that actually has a breakthrough for you around your finances. That could be the one thing that you needed to just push you over so that you can get going in the right direction. Whether you join us or not, I want you to have that for yourself. Okay, so if you're ready to rock, go to the person and get started. If it was us, and there's probably a few of you here, if you're ready to go, you can go to Sandy or Brittany or Jake, and they've got a QR code, and you can get signed up that way. If you've got questions, go get your questions answered. Do not leave here with questions unanswered. No question is too big, too small to be answered. And then also, I just realized, when you go to the next room, we're not going to ask you for money, okay? That portion of our business for anyone who wants to get started is absolutely free, okay? It's already like, our affiliate program is $49 a year. I'm just going to tell you that's how that goes. And on your first person that you refer, you're going to make that back and then some. But I just want you to know, we're going to go deeper into how our affiliate program works, how you can leverage your efforts and really accelerate your financial goals. So don't think that, oh, they're going to take us to the other room and they're going to really hammer us. That's not how it is. Although that is a lot of courses that we've done, that's how it rolls. But I just want to dispel that myth for some of you thinking that that's what's going to happen. So how it's going to work is, anybody who wants to do that, we're going to be in, is it Stone Creek, Sandy?
I think so.
So it's down this hall and to the left, and it's a room called Stone Creek. And then we'll have some tacos in there, and then we'll spend about 15 minutes. Y'all can schmooze and talk to each other. And then we'll do a short presentation and go through how our affiliate program works, how you can leverage your efforts and really accelerate your financial goals. Because one of the things we realize is that people are still living paycheck to paycheck, and we need to give them a way to make additional income. And with our 20 years of experience in direct sales, we've had a ton of experience and a ton of success. And what we did is we merged the world of real estate investing and direct sales together to give you everything you need to really get ahead financially. So I want to thank you guys, really thank you for being here, especially people that we know in our life and the people that we don't know, and that you trusted someone enough to come here. We don't take that lightly. Time is the most precious commodity we have. It's the one thing you cannot buy more of, you cannot get more of, and you gave us precious time. And so we want to acknowledge you for that and thank you for that. And I hope this was a blessing to you. And I hope if this isn't it, that you go find something. You go find a great community that you can partner up with that can help you accelerate your goals.
No, I'm deeply moved because we've got people that span, 2 decades of our life in this room. Some are, huh?
3.
I'll go 3, yeah. 3. I didn't know.
No, Daniel.
I didn't realize I was that old.
You are. You are. We are.
55. All right. Anyway, but it's like, we were putting this together. I was like, are we going to be able to fill the room? I was like, are we going to be able to fill the room? And then I started getting those text messages again. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, no, I said, this room's going to be filled, and it's going to be filled with the right people. And I knew that. I had the faith for that. And so regardless, we're friends no matter what. Whatever you guys decide that you want to do, just know that we're here to build something amazing, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. But thank you for your time, because this first thing, this only happens once. This meeting, this only happens once. So there will be a time 5 years from now, and some of you are going to be able to say, I was at that first one. I was there, right? And that only happens once. You can't recreate a story once it happens. And so some people think they do. But anyway, no, it's beside the point. But nonetheless, I'm grateful. I'm deeply moved, and thank you for being here. We would love to be able to work with you, and hopefully some of you guys will join us in the other room. We'll talk a little bit further.
All right. Thank you, guys.